You're listening to the WDAA Insider Podcast.
Hi, everyone. We are back with the second episode of the WDAA, the Insider Podcast. And I'm your host, Kim Mackey. And today we're going to be talking about something that's on everyone's mind right now since we're less than 60 days away from. And we are going to delve into the World Show and traveling to the World Show. Whether you're making your very first trip or you're seasoned competitor preparing for a national show is different than getting ready for a weekend show. And so we're going to talk about all that stuff. Joining me today is Nichole Phillips. She is the president of the Pennsylvania Western Dressage Association. She's one of our affiliates. And she has made the trip to the World Show 6 times, 5 times competing with her horse Rocky, who I love dearly. And so we're going to talk to her and find out what's going on. So Nichole, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. This is a great topic. I'm so happy to be able to hopefully give some information and insight into folks that maybe haven't been to the World Show yet. So thanks, Kim, for doing this.
Yeah, no problem. We're definitely going to have a detailed description of some stuff that went on when you and I traveled to the World Show. But let's talk about first getting ready for the show, and let's talk about how you remember your first World Show.
So I had the crazy idea to take my gelding when he was 4 to the World Show. So he was pretty young. We had traveled off property quite a bit for lessons, for shows, for things like that. But it was definitely the first experience of a long trip like that, and also a big show like that. So it was a bit of an eye-opener for both of us. But it definitely was educational, I will say.
What was going through your mind at that time?
So I do remember the very first time I got on him in the indoor arena to warm up. The day after we got there, I had a day downtime. And the very first thought in my head was, we need to go back on the trailer and go home, because I had no idea just how much the energy would feed into his, reaction to the arena and the horses and the sounds and everything. So it was a little concerning, but we managed. I think at that point I got off and we did a lot of walking around. And after, a bit in it, we tried a couple more times and then realized, once we kind of fed into the energy and said, okay, we're both okay. This is okay. And I had a friend with me at the time, helping groom and everything. So that was super helpful to kind of calm both of our nerves down. But it was a little intimidating.
Yeah, I bet. It's definitely helpful to go with somebody that can help you, or at least, like, I was very grateful that I was able to go with you. And then we had a couple other friends there while we were there, so that it was definitely better to be with some people who have been through it before, so you weren't kind of on your own. And even, I know you didn't go with any other competitors, but it was nice at least having somebody with you the whole time.
Yes. Yeah. And I think if I had to do it over again, I probably would have tried to go along with somebody, or just not even shown and gone, and just to kind of check it all out, because it is pretty intimidating. But it worked out well. We had a really great first show. We just showed intro that year, and it turned out okay. And of course, caught the bug, and then had to go every year since. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say you've been every year since. I think I went on your fourth year, I think. Fourth year maybe with you. But it definitely, even for me going the first time, I wish I would have went and volunteered first and saw what the flow was and how everything went. I think that would have made it a lot easier for me as a competitor that year, but it wasn't horrible. I just think I would have liked to have known the flow of everything before I went. So I think a lot of people could benefit from volunteering there first to see how it goes and do all that. And then you're more prepared about what the stalls look like and all that kind of stuff, and the layout of the place and where the, warm up area is and all that. So,
right. Yep. Yeah, I agree. Yep.
Yeah. It's just much easier that way, I think. But let's talk about getting ready before you leave for the show at home, because I was lucky enough that I was able to have you to help me along the road. But tell me about how you prepared for the first time that you went, when you went by yourself.
Well, really not knowing how he was going to react on that first long trailer ride was a little concerning. But as I said, we were used to trailering before. I had kind of gotten used to what he would drink. That was one of the concerns is, keeping them hydrated on the trip. So for us going out, it was it's about a 12-hour trip out to Illinois, Indiana, where we stay overnight, and then another 8 hours out heading that way. And then, the opposite heading back. So it is a long trailer ride, and making sure that they're fit enough to be able to handle the trailer ride is important. So making sure that they're familiar with trailering. Go ahead.
Would you say that you started preparing like 3 or 4 months before you started going?
Yeah, absolutely. Just making sure they trailer well. If they have issues loading, really try to figure that out before you go. I had the hardest time teaching him to load, and he loaded like a champ when I had left for the world. So, and I was actually concerned. We had stayed over in Indiana, or Illinois, Indiana, the first year, and I was concerned that he was not going to get back on the trailer after having such a long day the day before. And he saw us hooking up the trailer and started whinnying because I think he thought we were going to leave without him. So he jumped right back on the trailer. I was like, okay. So just making sure that they're familiar.
Yeah, 4 years old, you never know what you're going to get at that point,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And you kind of have to be prepared for contingencies. Like I said, I had a friend with me who was very familiar with him and with horses. So at least, it wasn't like somebody that was like, okay, I don't know what to do right now. But having, somebody along that understood, kind of understands horses and understands the stress that they can be under was helpful.
Yeah, no, that's always good. At least when I went with you, my horse was 20, so it was a complete opposite. So it was a little bit easier for me, but I had also, by preparing, I had also taken her places, made sure she knew how to get on and off, and stabling her somewhere where she's not normally at, just so she could get used to being at different places and not have any issues with that. But water was always a big concern for me because my horse is not a great drinker. So did you prepare with like electrolytes and stuff like that with Rocky, or no?
Yeah, so I kind of tested things out at home, like what he would drink if I offered him, and I've seen like kind of the bucket challenges, the water challenges that people done. So, try and see what your horse really, really will drink. Replenimash is a great one. Unfortunately, I found out that Replenimash is really high sugar, so I can't use that for him anymore because he's IR. He's insulin resistant. But so I make my own kind of mix now. And there's lots of DIY, things that you can try. Apple juice in water, Gatorade. He loves Gatorade. So Gatorade was another thing that I would guarantee he would drink that. Replenimash is another one, but definitely try because where you wind up, and especially where you're staying over, even the water in your trailer, if you're trailering, like we realized, we just came back from Virginia and the water had sat in our tank in the trailer while we were there for like 5 days, and it was really warm and he didn't want to drink it. So kind of be prepared for contingencies, and that they might not like the taste of the water where you are. But if you have something that you can add that absolutely that they'll drink, that's super helpful.
Yeah, and also making sure that you, even like if you're not trailering for far, make them drink on the trailer, not beside the trailer or next to the trailer, but in the trailer, because a lot of them aren't used to drinking in the trailer.
Right.
It's usually outside of it or whatever. But if your horse hasn't drank anything in the trailer, it's good to practice that before you go, so make sure they're comfortable drinking in there.
Right. And some of them won't actually urinate either on the trailer. So that's another kind of concern, is make sure that they will actually go on the trailer in whatever shavings they're used to at home. Because holding it for that long too is not good. You absolutely do not want to be trying to take your horse off the trailer in the middle of a, parking lot somewhere. If you can avoid that, because things happen. So
that's a good point. Now, a lot of people don't think of that.
No, unless you absolutely have to.
Yeah.
Have a good, we shopped around for horse hotels, and the one we stayed at is the one that I usually,
Yeah.
we stay at, and they're great. But hopefully you can make your trip, your first day trip, leaving them on the trailer. One of the things I do is if it's only him on the trailer, he rides in the middle slant, so I'll open that back slant up and let him kind of move around a little bit, still leaving him tied in the front so he can't turn around. But when we stop for breaks too, and just kind of give them a little bit of a rest from, bracing themselves the whole time too. So little things like that help, and then let him put his head down and drink too. So, yep, all things to help.
Is there anything that you have forgotten?
Uh,
I'm assuming you have a checklist like I did.
Yes.
Yeah.
Usually extra everything. Have an extra cinch, have an extra. The one year I did the curb strap that I brought, the first ride that I did, I actually went up to the steward because I was a little concerned about it. So I had her check it before my first ride. And she said, you know what? It's actually too thin. It was a leather curb strap, but because when it gets wet and it gets sweaty, it stretches, and it was actually below the 1/2-inch requirement.
Yeah.
So I had to scramble, run back to the barn, ask, a stall buddy, if they had an extra curb strap, and they did. So, managed to get something that was legal, that met the regulations to use for the rest of the show. But things like that, like make sure your tack is legal, make sure you have an extra.
If you don't, if you don't know if your tack is, we're going to eventually do a podcast on tack and equipment.
Perfect.
But if you don't know before you go this year, you should always email WDA and find out send them a picture. They will tell you if this is good or this is not good.
Yeah.
Because if you find out at the show, it's not like a tack store right down the street. So
no. And if you have the opportunity to show at a USEF show prior to Worlds, make sure you talk to the steward that's there, whoever's checking tack, and say, hey, I have a concern about this or that. They'll be more than willing to help you out and let you know, hey, another steward, might have concerns about this, or I think it's fine. They have the regulations in front of them. So that's always a bonus too. If you can try to get to a USEF show and have an actual
steward check it. Yeah, no, that's a great idea. A lot of people don't think of that either, but you really need to make sure you have everything and make sure you have extra because you never know what's going to happen.
Yes.
Never.
WDAA members can listen to the full conversation between Kim and Nichole on the Learning Management System at WDAA.org, where they continue to talk about the World Show, including settling your horse, understanding the show schedule, and lessons learned from past shows. Not a member yet? Join WDAA today at WDAA.org.